Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Nintendo Expansion Pass here on Boss Rush Games. I'm your host, the 19 ADV. Joining me is the boss man himself, the one, the only Mr. Corey Derry. Hello, good sir.
Hello, Ed. It's good to be here on a Friday night because our normal recording on Thursday wouldn't let me call you on Skype.
Yes, and I couldn't do vice versa. So,
Stupid.
we gave it a day. I reset my modem like 3 times today.
Yeah, it's stupid. Whatever, it's fine.
The internet in this cold weather, everybody.
The internet
when you
sucks.
living in the Midwest.
The internet, man. The internet's good for a lot of things, but also the internet just kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So,
Well, before we get into our topic, we got some Patreon shout outs to do, Corey. So let's shout them out.
oh man. Okay, let me open this up. Hold on. Blah blah blah. By the way, Ed, you know how we had that big discussion about like what we wanted to do with like the show and whatever our meeting the other day, and how we were gonna try to like maybe kind of change some things. Well, on our State of Nintendo Power Block episode, we got a comment that said, "You guys should keep Snacktendo." I'm like, oh, no, gosh, oh man. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh,
Which we weren't ever considering. We weren't ever going to get rid of it. We were just kind of merging a few segments together is the kind of the plan. But we'll get to that later. Anyways, if you want to support Nintendo Power Block and Expansion Pass as well as our other content, you can head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/BossRushNetwork, where you can get early access to 5 shows for just $1. $1 a month, guys, gets you early access to 5 separate shows. Sometimes 6 if I feel like not scheduling Nintendo Power Block and just hitting publish. So sometimes. Although that's not a full advertisement, I'm just saying. I do publish Nintendo Power Block early on Patreon sometimes. But if you want to become a Patreon producer, you can subscribe to our $5 tier. What does that mean? It means you get early access plus a shout out on this here program. So without further ado, our Patreon producers for this episode of Power Block Expansion Pass are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian Skipper, my wife, Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Rebecca Jewell, and a new Patreon producer, Ed. Always on Deck Comedy. He's the one that said we should keep Nintendo, or we should keep Snacktendo. So I guess now that he's a Patreon producer, we have to listen, huh? Welcome to the show. Always on Deck Comedy. Appreciate your patronage. I want to thank all of our Patreon producers. I want to thank all of our patrons, and I want to thank all of our free listeners. Remember, all of our content remains free. We would just give you a few perks if you support us over on Patreon. If you are a free listener, remember to rate us and leave us a nice review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, leave a thumbs up, hit the bell, leave a comment, tell your friends. And, yeah, thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you, everybody.
Yes. Now, before we get into the topic, you guys might have realized that I said Boss Rush Games. In the future, you're going to be hearing that a lot. We are kind of transitioning some things with our podcast and everything. So we'll give you guys more details in the future. But yeah.
Basically the rundown is there's been a lot of kind of I don't want to say miscommunication because that's not it, but just kind of like, you know, the Boss Rush Network incorporates a lot of different pieces, right? Our in-house content, separate content that people have on their own channels, our writing team, that kind of thing. And so the day this goes live on Patreon, Ed and I are going to sit down and have a meeting about what to do with our Patreon and how to separate these things out. But also, the Monday after this goes live on Patreon, we're having a meeting uh, with our leadership team about all of this and how we kind of want to move forward with rebranding and not rebranding, but really establishing branding on each segment
Mm-hmm.
of Boss Rush Media, which is our company, uh, and how we want to go about each section of the company. So
Mm-hmm.
the content's not going to change. It's just we want to make sure that you guys know what you're paying for if you're a patron, and because this has come up, I think 4 times in the last maybe 3 or 4 months, where like people ask, "Oh, why isn't Lore Together on your Patreon feed?" Or why isn't uh, EXP Cast part of your Patreon? And it's like, well, they're technically part of the network, but they're not our in-house stuff. So we're kind of, you know, seeing how the branding for that will. We're trying to incorporate the branding in a way that is easier for our patrons and the people who consume our content know which content they're consuming.
Yes.
So the YouTube channel and the Patreon will have a new brand on it at some point, um, because we want everybody to know what they're paying for. Lore Together has their own stuff. EXP Cast has their own Patreon. You know, Block has his own kind of YouTube channel and Patreon going on. So we just want to make sure people know who they're supporting and what they're supporting. So uh, Ed and I are gonna have like a whole video sit down conversation on what is what after our meeting with everybody, just so you guys know. But that's kind of the quick version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so
Yes.
just so you guys know, that's nothing's really changing. It's more of like an organizational branding structure thing. So
Yes.
no one's going anywhere. Nothing's changing. BossRush.net still going to be the website that you go to for all the content you love. Right? We're just kind of setting everything up.
Sorting themes.
Yes, because I mean, to be honest, I wrote a thing in our Discord today, Ed. But which, by the way, you should join the Discord. Especially if Twitter's going away. Uh, I this thing grew faster than I think we ever expected it to, and it grew
Mm-hmm.
faster than we expected it to, and so we've kind of been running by the seat of our pants, especially me, because I only have like a limited amount of time every night to work on things, and most of the time it's recording and editing and like trying to do one thing that I can talk about on the next show. uh because I mean I record like anywhere between 5 and 8 podcasts a week, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's very difficult to make time to do the back end things. Uh, so yeah, just so everybody knows, I know that was kind of another long winded answer, but we're gonna have a video that explains everything as soon as our meeting happens, and we're gonna have a note on Patreon and a note that goes out on social media and our Discord and stuff, just to kind of explain all the how everything's going to be branded and structured and stuff. So yeah,
Yes.
sorry, I didn't mean to like cut you off, or I just wanted
No,
to,
no, no.
just because
That's
like
what I said.
Pow Block is like, I know the Boss Rush podcast is like quote unquote the flagship show, but this is Pow Block's our biggest show, right? I mean it.
Mm-hmm.
And not by anybody's fault. It's just been around the longest, and this is the show. So the most people listen to this show, so the message will go out first on this show, and obviously after this it'll go out on others.
Yes. So, well, let's get into the topic because Corey, the Game Awards is happening, and
Yay, the
we
Game
have our
Awards.
nominations.
Yay, the Keeley announcement show that says that there's awards.
Yes, and we here at on the Nintendo side, we all seen the announcements that happened for a lot of the games. Pretty much people been talking about snubs and but people also excited for games that did get dominated from Nintendo. Um, the thing about it though is that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is one of the nominees for Game of the Year. And that list contains of Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. There are other games that Nintendo also got, like Kirby got announced as one of the for the kid friendly one. Um, Bayonetta 3 got one nomination for it. And it just kind of feels very weird with this one. And I kind of noticed a trend, Corey, that it always feels like when it comes to the Game Awards, they hold it out for a major game and then cut it off in a weird way. I mean, yeah, Cyberpunk was is an exception. Age of Calamity is an exception. But like that year that Tetris Effect came out, that they held it open, and then Tetris Effect was like one of the nominations. And I'm like, this game just dropped, and they did the same thing this year. Last time they did it, they definitely did it for Death Stranding. Um, this year they did it for God of War Ragnarok. And I kind of want to ask you before we get into the discussion, why do you think that happens? Do you really think that that's kind of some favoritism to Sony in a sense? Or is it just like they want to make sure that they get the big games in?
I mean,
Uh,
I don't know. I mean, you're talking for game of the year, right? Like,
just nominations in
oh,
general for
well, I
Game of
mean,
the Year.
for game of the year, I mean, Stray. That's not really a big game. That's an indie game. That's
Mhm.
nominated. I don't know. I mean, to Sony's credit, they have two really big AAA games, and I think by all accounts they're amazing. I mean, I want to play both of them. Like that's part of the reason why I'm feeling the FOMO right now is like
But
I want to play God of War and Horizon, and I have not gotten
But
to.
did you think of but did you think of those games when it have came out like God of War?
Yeah.
I'm saying if God of War didn't come out in November, do you think Keeley will close it off and be like, that's it? The last game that's really should be this is really gonna be nominated would have been Bayonetta. Or
Then I
if a
mean
Nintendo
then
game
God
did come out.
I mean whatever the cutoff
Oh,
day is, they're just going to be nominated next year, you know.
mm.
So, I mean,
Because it
I
always
think
feels
here's the thing. I think having Game of the Year awards in November is really stupid. In December, I think they need to be in January so you can encompass the entire year. I don't think
yeah.
people I think that old notion of like, oh, well, the year's over, I only care about 2023 games. I think if you have it in the first or second week of January, people are
Hmm.
still going to be excited, right? And I just I don't know. I think a lot of the ways we treat games in general is antiquated, and I think people need to to move forward and stop thinking about because like I mean gosh for like even discs man like I get people like having physical collections and I'm a person who likes to have my favorite games physically right and I have a small Switch collection because uh I don't want another Wii U or 3DS situation going on,
Hmm.
but like I mean, some games it's just like why are you even buying a disc, right? Modern Warfare 2, right? Call of Duty, biggest game of the year. You heard about the disc, right? The disc situation with that game.
No.
So there's nothing on the disc. It's 70 megabytes, and that's the license on the disc. You still have to download the entire game. So it's like
Wait.
what's the point? And like my favorite game is Destiny, and that disc is worthless. Those discs are worthless now. You know?
But I thought that from the disk is supposed to install.
Nope.
Wow. Well, it's weird that you say that because God of War Ragnarok on PS4 comes with two discs. It's like I have to do
Yeah,
an
I mean, a
installation
lot of
disc.
a lot of games are still doing games on the disc, right? Like, I mean,
Hmm.
Red Dead 2 also had two discs, right? Like that game was humongous. But like, there's certain games, especially games that require online functionality.
Yeah.
Those that it's just the license on the disc or like a little bit of data, and then you have to download the rest of the game. It's not installing the game; it's downloading the game, right? Which I guess technically is still installing, but like it's not like it used to be anymore, man. The games just aren't on the discs anymore. It's not like Final Fantasy on PS1 or Mass Effect on 360, right? Where like
Hmm.
they're like, "Oh, well, it's time to play disc 2. Insert disc 2 before you're like it's just like it's not that way anymore." And man, I don't know how we got on this conversation, but like I just for me, especially on Xbox and PlayStation at this point, is like, yeah, I would love to have some sort of physical collection and love to say someday that, like, man, 15 years from now, when PlayStation 6 is out and we're talking about PlayStation 7 and Xbox Series W, Z, Y, X, I don't know, that I have a nice collection and that my PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games will play right off the disc. But it's not like that anymore, and it sucks. And but like I came to that realization about halfway through the Xbox One PS4 generation, and that's when I went all
Hmm.
digital. Right? Is like these games just aren't going to work. There are a few games that will work. Right? I mean that's the indies that you get from limited run or a publisher that publishes a smaller game, right? Like those games will work,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, I mean, again, like I just got Shadow of the Tomb Raider physically because it was on sale on Amazon, and I know I'm never gonna play that game physically ever. But I like that game, so I was like, oh, I'll put it on my shelf, right? But like we've had this discussion before, where that game on disc, the ending of that game is not the same ending that was patched in on day one.
Hmm.
It's not the same ending. It's like a totally different ending, you know? And so like it's like the game that they want you to play is not even the game that's on the disc now. And like the game crashes and it runs poorly because the patch isn't in there. I don't know, man. I'm just like I really truly think like Nintendo and some of these smaller indies that truly care are the only games that are going to work consistently off the cartridge or off the disc.
Hmm.
And you'll be able to play it offline someday when these consoles are dead, you know. But like none of these other games, they're just going to be linked to some random internet account somewhere, and you're just going to be like, oh, okay, well, guess I'll play it on my PlayStation 7 that's being lasered into my brain because TVs don't exist anymore or something. I don't know.
Yeah. The Game Awards.
Yeah. Anyways, Game
uh,
Awards. Yeah. But oh yeah, that's where we were going. Um, Yeah, I mean, even if God of War was cut off this year, like it would still be nominated next year. I mean, who knows? There's so many great games coming out next year, and I think a lot of games like Zelda and
mhm.
Resident Evil 4 remake and Dead Space remake and a lot of games like that, Starfield, Redfall are all going to overshadow something that came out in 2022, right? Which is why they do the awards in 2022. I get it. But I think the cutoff date is so stupid because we still have not a lot of games, but some games coming out at the end of November and in December, right?
Hmm.
I don't know, man. Game Awards are weird. Also, I
Well,
really just want to watch them for all the cool announcements. Maybe there'll be
but
another Hellblade trailer.
I mean, I think that's what everybody's going to be really looking forward to. It's going to be the trailers. I don't think so much the nominations or anything, but it just really feels weird in a sense. This Game Awards, like a lot of people saying that Elden Ring is gonna really like take Game of the Year and all of this other stuff. Okay, fine, but it or God of War would take it or
I think it's
whatever.
going to be one of those two. I
But it really feels weird. I'm like, do those games, like I keep saying, do games earn the right to get that award, or is it?
well, yeah, that's why they're nominated.
But I'm like, but sometimes is it like reviewer slash fans, to make them happy or something to that gets into stuff because I'm not trying to knock Elden Ring and I'm not trying to knock God of War or anything, but you know, people were just happy that Xenoblade 3 uh got got nominated. But it's just like, did a lot of people play Xenoblade 3?
No,
And
and that's why people. That's why it's not going to get votes, right? I mean, that's the thing too. Is like, yeah, you can nominate a game, and it can have, it can have that nomination, but it's not going to
mhm,
win because not enough people played it, right? Like, 25 million people played Elden Ring, right? And maybe 1.5 to 2 million played Xenoblade, right? I mean,
and
that's
and you got to factor in multiple consoles versus one game. I mean, one console,
right,
you
but
know.
still, I mean, everybody has a Switch, though. I mean, that's not the problem. The
Well,
problem
yeah,
is
well,
that Xenoblade, like
true.
JRPGs, as popular or as it seems like they are coming back, right? Like
Hmm.
it seems like the popularity of JRPGs is growing again, but there's still like there's still almost like a niche compared to something like Call of Duty or God of War, right? God of War was God of War 2018 is Sony's best-selling exclusive of all time. You know,
Hmm.
of course the sequel is going to get played, and of course the people who played it are going to vote for it because that first one was so beloved, right? And then like
Yeah,
Elden Ring came out of nowhere. I personally think Elden Ring is going to win.
yeah,
Not
I do too.
just from just how crazy that game took the world by storm. You know, whereas God of War,
But
like as good as God of War seems to be, it is a sequel, and we did play that before.
but it really feels like even with sorry about that, right? Even with Elden Ring, it kind of feels like this is just this is still a Souls game, but just with some changes, and it doesn't feel. And this is just my opinion. It doesn't feel like it has truly evolved into making it something that could be on its own. And I feel like with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, is I think with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, there were so many surprises outside of the music, outside of the battles and stuff, that when when everybody was talking so hype about God of War 2018's narrative and storyline, Xenoblade 3 has that, but people are not really talking about it in a sense when it comes to Game of the Year nominations
I
or
I
just
just
Game of the
I just
Year
don't think it was
or the Game.
popular enough, and I think the thing too is like the other thing that I think hurts Xenoblade too is like Nintendo put out so many great games this year
Hmm.
that like it's just another great Nintendo game that came out this year too, and like when Sony only puts out two or three exclusives, they have time to breathe and have time to let people play them because people who like Sony exclusive games are
Hmm.
playing through the exclusive games, right? Whereas if you're a Nintendo fan, like even since Xenoblade came out, think of all the games that came out, Nintendo games that came out since Xenoblade. You have Xenoblade, you have Splatoon 3, you have Bayonetta 3, you have Mario plus Rabbids, you have Pokemon, you have Final Fantasy coming out soon, you have Tactics Ogre. Like there's so many great games coming to Switch after Xenoblade that's like of course half the people who played it forgot about it already because they're already playing two or three other games,
Yeah, but it's just I think for me, like personally, when I seen it, yes, I'm so happy that it happened. But I think it was just like everybody who loved or found all of this stuff from other platforms, from other games, is right here in this Nintendo game, and it's just like, well, that's not my type of game, or it's on my list that I need to play something. And it kind of feels weird. It kind of feels weird that a game that gives you everything that you just found out, you deny it. I said this about God of War also, that people can't act like they are just learning about narrative and story. Its narrative and story has always been around, but because it's from one of their maybe favorite series or favorite developers or whoever, if you're brand new to it, you should be able to find other games that's willing to go there and tell a story, and present you this narrative and stuff. It shouldn't be a genre that holds you back from that, and it kind of feels that way in a sense, you know.
I guess I just I don't know. I just to be honest, I think there are better games than Xenoblade that came out this year. Like just by visually looking at things and the way people are talking, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm not saying Xenoblade is a bad game. I haven't to be fair, I haven't played any of the games on the game of the year list, right? I'm just judging by like, okay, Horizon Forbidden West. I know what that game is because I platinumed the first one, and this is
Hmm.
more of the first one, and that game is undeniably one of the best games I've ever played. God of War, yeah, 2018 one game of the year. No question, this game is getting nominated, right?
Hmm.
Elden Ring, Elden Ring. I don't know what else to say about Elden Ring, right? Souls people
And
love it. Uh,
and I think that's the thing about it, because it's a Souls game from software. I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to knock it or anything.
but it's sold more than every other Souls game combined. Like it's not like the Souls games are like publicly popular. They're popular
Mm,
to people who like Souls games, right? And maybe they're friends because they convinced them to buy it, right? But like Elden Ring was some kind of weird phenomenon this oh, what, February? Gosh, that was so long
yeah.
ago. Uh that it kept getting great scores and great scores and great scores, and then people kept buying it. How many people on Boss Rush bought Elden Ring because of the score alone, right? Like,
I don't think no one bought it because of the score. I think people bought it because
uh,
they were interested
I'm
in.
pretty sure Dan bought it because it got a great score. David bought it
Nope,
because it got a great score.
nope,
Yeah, they did. Go back and
no.
look at the chat because Dan
David,
said it was too
David,
hard for him. I t-
David, right. David and Dan, they've never played the Souls
that's what I'm
game.
saying. They bought it because everybody is saying how good it was.
Right, but you said it's because of the score. So
Yeah,
that's why
how
I'm
good it
saying no,
was,
not
the
because of the
scores,
score.
because it was getting great scores and how great people were talking about it. And they bought it. And guess what? Half the people that bought that game weren't Souls fans and didn't realize how hard that game was. And a lot of people put it down. Like, after what? The Steam numbers? Like, something like, I don't know, only something like 20% of the people who bought it on Steam got the
Mm,
first achievement because of how hard that game is. That was then. I don't know what the thing is now, but that was a story floating
yeah.
around for a while. But like,
Well,
Elden Ring, but the people who liked it really loved it, and like those are the people who
and
are voting.
and and I think that's why when I say it's not because of the score, but because of how great they hear it, I kind of feel like that's two different things in a sense. Because even if you have a game that has, I would say, a 7 or 8, like look how good, how much I talked about Kirby and everything, and regardless of it of the score is, that game is great in everything, and as much as I talked about it, it's a great game. But not many people picked it up and played it, even though I talked about it how great it was. I
Yeah, well,
think
I mean,
with Elden
but that's
Ring,
the same
oh
with
good,
Xenoblade, though, right? Is like
yeah,
people who love Xenoblade loved it, and Nintendo fans played it because it's a Nintendo game, right, and liked it. But not enough people who have voting abilities probably played
hmm
enough of it to vote for it, right? And so, that on top of like the quality of the other games nominated, right? Like so what were the other games nominated? It was Elden Ring, God of War, Horizon, Xenoblade, Stray, and what was the
It's
sixth
straight.
game?
It was just five.
Was it? Are you
Yeah, it
sure?
was just
I
five.
thought there was six.
Game of the year. Uh oh, A Plague Tale. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Requiem.
So
A Plague
Xenoblade would
Tale,
definitely beat
Requiem,
out
Elden Ring. Yeah, God
Xenoblade.
of War, Horizon, Stray, Xeno. Yeah.
Yeah, Xenoblade would definitely beat A Plague's Tale. I can't believe that's nominated because it got really mediocre reviews, and so did Stray. Stray got nominated because the internet's obsessed with cats.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are going to yell at me for saying that, but it's true. Um, the
Did
game was
Untitled Goose Game get nominated for Game of the Year?
no.
I have to go back.
Uh, I mean, Stray is like a mediocre game, right? I mean, that's people got excited because you played as a cat. I'm sorry, that was its selling point.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, man. I mean, Elden Ring, Horizon, and God of War. Like, gosh, I feel so bad for Horizon. Horizon's not going to win because it got overshadowed again, and it's going to get. I mean, it's going to get Horizoned, right? We say that every year. A game's
Yeah,
going to get
it
Horizoned.
yeah,
A
it did get
fantastic. Like, if I was voting on this list just based off of what I know about all these games and
mhm.
like the games that I've played, I would vote for Horizon because I know what Horizon is. I love Horizon. I think Horizon is Sony's best exclusive on the PS4. Horizon Zero Dawn.
Hmm.
It like Horizon Call of the Mountain is like the only reason why I'm considering looking at VR, right? Because I
Yeah.
love Horizon so much. Uh but like, God of War already won Game of the Year once. I think Sekiro won that one year, right?
Yeah.
So like you already have two game of the like basically sequels competing for Game of the Year. To me, Elden Ring is going to win because it was the biggest surprise. That's my opinion.
I, I I don't feel like it was the biggest surprise or anything. I think it's because it's a Soul Games from Software. Everybody know it. No, people really know from Software because of Bloodborne. Because everybody's been talking. Well, not everybody. A lot of people who are been into that genre has been talking about how Bloodborne is the Souls game that people have gotten into. Yeah, Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 3 kind of felt like the beginning, but Bloodborne like really got them into playing these Souls games, and then Elden
Mm-hmm.
Ring is just like okay because it's from software who made Bloodborne,
Yeah,
bam, I'm gonna jump into this game.
Bloodborne's a great game though. I mean, regardless of how you feel about Souls games, Bloodborne is it's a great game. I mean, I'm not really into the Souls games all that much, but I really enjoyed
Mhm.
my time with Bloodborne. Uh, so I never like went back and did all the secrets or anything, but the combat was fun, and you know,
Well, I can say for the Game Awards, most of Nintendo's first party exclusive
are in the
is
family games section again.
well, yeah, they're in the family game, but like Pokemon Legends Arceus and Xenoblade is in like best role playing. Kirby, Nintendo Sports, or Nintendo Switch Sports, um,
I can't believe Nintendo Switch
Splatoon
Sports
3.
got nominated. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
that game.
Splatoon 3. That's in even though that's in the kid friendly stuff, it really feels like all of Nintendo's first party stuff that was released this year is in the Game Awards. Is in the nomination. So that's big. That first of all,
No
people
Fire
didn't
Emblem
take notice
Warriors
of
though,
that.
guys.
Oh yeah, Three Hopes or Three Houses. Yeah,
Three Hopes.
that
Yeah.
Three Hopes. Yeah, that one didn't make it and stuff. Which is weird because that should have been, I think, in Best Action. Uh, with it. I know one of the biggest controversial thing is seafood being in best fighting.
Yeah, because it's not a fighting game. Of course, it's controversial. They put it in a thing, like they put it in a category that it's not even supposed to be in. It's so stupid. Sorry,
it's
I don't care
it
how you feel about Sifu. I'm sure it's a great game, but like shoving it in a category just because you want it nominated for something does not.
like I would be fine if it's in best indie and stayed there,
Oh
but
no, that's
like
fine. That's great. I
but
would
best
totally think that would be a best indie, but like this putting Sifu in best fighting game is like putting Tetris in the best action game. Gross.
right, because it was
Not
just
even
like,
real.
and you already nominated for fighting games. There's probably another fighting game out there that you heck put. You had the Capcom All Star Collection for fighting. Why not put that in there for the fifth one? It might not win or anything, but it's a fighting game.
Yeah, it's just man. I get that like not a lot of fighting games come out every year, which is fine, you know.
Hmm.
But like you can't just shove something in there because it's because you
It's just
want to
there.
put it in another category.
I know one of the biggest things in here. It kind of really felt like a lot of third party just didn't get the a lot of third and indie games just didn't get the recognition. Microsoft just didn't get anything,
Well, it's because
you
they didn't
know.
put out anything. They put out Pentiment, right? I mean, that was the only game they put out this year, and that missed the cutoff. So sorry.
Hmm.
I mean, I know it got a lot of tens, and I'm sure I know it's a great adventure game, but like it it that's literally the only game they put out this year. Besides, I guess Ghostwire Tokyo, but it's not out on Xbox yet. Ironically,
Right, it's supposed to be coming like next
in
year, you
March, I
said.
think. Yeah.
And that would be it would be interesting if Microsoft drop drop gems in 2023 and literally only one game comes out of that gets nominated. Like that would literally be crazy. Um because it's just like I think I think that's the thing about it. It's just like it really feels that a lot of games that came out just got missed and or just wasn't interested enough to be a part of the nominations or anything.
I just
And
and this is just a downer year for games, right? This is
mm,
not that a lot of great games didn't come out this year. It was just like there was really nothing like that stood out. I mean, obviously Nintendo had a lot of great things come out this year, but nothing Breath of the Wild or Odyssey caliber, right? I mean,
mm,
it, I'm sorry to say that, but nothing that great came out. It's just a downer year across the board. I mean, Sony probably had the best year out of anybody with Horizon and God of War. You know, to be completely honest, I mean, Xbox didn't have a lot or didn't have anything. Nintendo had a lot of great like library filler type games, right? I mean, Xenoblade, I guess you could put as a tentpole. Splatoon 3 is definitely a tentpole for them, but it's not. It's a different type of game than you would want as like a quote unquote prestige title, like Zelda or Mario.
but I mean, for it to have like close to 3 million sales in 3 days in one country, like that's kind of,
No, I'm not.
you
I'm
know,
not saying. I'm not saying it's not a fun game and not people didn't like it. It's sold
mm,
over 10 million copies at this point, right? I mean, it's clearly a hit. But I mean, I don't think people put Splatoon and Zelda in the same category, or Splatoon and God of War in the same type of category in terms of like tent pole, prestige games. Is what I'm saying.
mm.
Splatoon 3 is a tentpole game, but it's not what you think of when you think of a tentpole game. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's a
I think
multiplayer.
it's
It's a multiplayer action game, right? And that's why it's so popular
yeah.
because it's fun. There's a lot of cool mechanics. The style that you can customize. Like, there's a lot of things that make Splatoon great, and why a lot of people love it, right?
Mm.
It's almost the same thing as like Animal Crossing, like the customization, the multiplayer, that kind of thing, right? It's an
And
anomaly.
and and you kind of got to factor in what country is it catering to because looking at NPD in Japan, like Splatoon 3 is still number one. And like when I looked at this, look how God of War was doing and the Call of Duty was doing, like some of these big games, it was just like, okay, Japan is not really looking at Western games like they're
Yeah,
doing their
Japan doesn't
own
care. They
games.
want they
Mhm.
want portable, mobile games, right? That's why the Switch
Where
is so
we're
popular there.
we're vice versa, is that we're still looking for Western games, but the Eastern games is very selective. Yes, there's Nintendo, there's Persona, because like Persona is a big thing in a sense. Uh, but like there's not too much out of there, and like we don't know what Square Enix is gonna do since they sold a lot of their Western developers.
Hmm.
So yeah, people are looking forward to Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy
Yeah, but
Crisis Core,
yeah, but
but it's just
those
like
games are still like even Final Fantasy 16. You look at that; that's still aimed at a Western audience. It might be
yeah,
Japanese, but like the
that's what I was
action,
about to
like
say.
the action battle system is clearly aimed at the Western audiences. It's not a
But
traditional JRPG, you know.
which is weird because people don't like action games
They
in a sense
they do.
because
Everybody loves action games. That's why
but
everything is
they,
a
they
quote
but
unquote action RPG now, third
but
person
the
action
the pro-
game.
but I think the problem is I may be thinking of stylized action because my thing is that people feel like that stylized action games have too many buttons. So that's why they love the soul kind of thing because it's not too many buttons, even though it's challenging. And yes, those genres are different. Even in the gameplay, they're different and stuff when it comes to action, in a
Yeah, I
sense.
mean, yeah, I guess I think I think in terms of the games that we want versus the games that Japan wants. That
Hmm.
I mean, the I mean, you look at the sheer size of the PS5 alone, like that's not going in a Japanese household, right? I mean, they
Yeah.
live on top of each other in the city. Like, I mean, that's why the Series S is doing so well over there. Is because it's small and compact, and if people want some sort of
Hmm.
console experience, that's what they're getting, right? I mean, not that the PS5 isn't doing bad in Japan; it's just not doing numbers like it is in Europe and North America, right? So, um, I don't know, man. Uh, you can see how intriguing the Game Awards are to us because we haven't really talked about them at all. We're just talking about talking about.
Well, I think because like when it comes to Nintendo, like Nintendo has Nintendo people cannot, even though that Elden Ring and God of War is big in it, you cannot knock Nintendo for getting a majority of their, pretty much 95% of their first party stuff is part of a nomination or something. So that speaks volumes of it. I just wish that it spoke more volumes and everything. And I think it's because I really feel like that the nominations and the people who are voting for them do come from big publications, but I think then once again there still needs to be um, a diverse because I think there I would I okay, Elden Ring is third party, fine. Sony had God of War. I would have removed Horizon Zero Dawn and A Plague Tale. Or I would have had something that's dedicated straight for PC in this, because Stray is representing indie, Xenoblade is representing Nintendo, God of War is representing Sony, Elden Ring is representing third party. So I'm like, we need something PC and
Yeah,
shoot,
but I
maybe
mean, all these games came out on PC anyway. Like, there's nothing. I don't know. I just I mean, there's a couple games that got snubbed. That
and
really got. There's a couple games that I feel like got snubbed that I hear everybody
mhm,
talking about. Right. I think one is Vampire Survivor, which is something that a lot of people have been playing on PC for a while. I know it just hit 1.0 release like a week or two ago, but like that game got super snubbed. I feel like a lot of
yeah,
people really love that game. I feel
I've been
like
playing it on my Series X. I'm enjoying it.
yeah, because it's on Game Pass, right? So
Yeah, it's on Game Pass, and plus, if you want to buy it, it's only $5.
yeah, yeah, that too.
Which,
And then
come on. It needs to hit Switch soon.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel like Tunic got snubbed this year too. Um, I mean, I'm a little less hot on Tunic than a lot of people were, but I know a lot of people
Hmm.
loved Tunic. But I think it's because I tried to play Tunic right after I played Death's Door this year, and they're similar games, but they're
Hmm.
just different enough. They're just different enough to throw you off if you play one right after the other.
Yeah,
And so, like, playing Tunic the way that I wanted to play Death's Door is not the way to play Tunic. So if I go back to it later, that I think that's the ideal way. But like, I think a lot of people felt like Tunic got snubbed. Um, I know a lot of podcasts I listen to feel like Tunic got snubbed. Um,
because the way that it told the story and its art direction and how challenging it was, it just felt something different.
yeah,
Uh, than what the games that came out this year. You
yeah.
know.
So I mean, yeah, there's games that got snubbed, but you're never gonna please everybody, right? I mean, that's the whole point.
Hmm.
So I mean, if you want to make your, I mean, we're gonna make our own list later this year. Maybe if I play games that came out
Yes,
this year, but we're gonna make our own list later this year, and that's, I mean, that's gonna be our list, right? Like, I don't really care. My thing about the Game Awards is that I'm excited to see what gets announced, or shown a trailer, or gets a release date, or something, right? I think Microsoft has to show something here. I know they love the Game Awards. They're going to show at least one or
hmm
two things. What is it? I don't know. I mean,
I I think update to Starfield, Redfall. Yeah, I feel like we get a date for Hellblade too.
man, like, as much as I want to see
And
more of Hellblade, it would be really disappointing if that was the game they showed at the Game Awards again. You know,
hmm
I think Hellblade looks amazing. I've seen enough of that game to know that I'm playing that game as soon as it comes out. I want to
yes,
see Fable, Perfect
Fable.
Dark,
Hmm.
uh,
I would
Outer
need to see
Worlds
Forza.
2,
I need
Avowed.
to see. I need to see Forza Motorsport. I need to like. I understand they showed the picture and
Why? This
everything,
is the
but
eighth
I'm
one. You
like,
know what you're getting.
yeah, it is the eighth one, but I'm just like I know they went in and did some. They're doing new stuff for it. Because me and my one of my associates at work, we talk about racing games and stuff, and me and him both own the Xbox, and we're both looking forward to Forza Motorsport. I want to see what they do because my thing is, it's like if Forza Motorsport is deep enough that it really makes sorry Sony, but if Forza Motorsports makes Gran Turismo 7 look bad, that's going to be something in a sense,
Yeah.
you know.
I still think Forza is gonna be, Gran Turismo is like the hardcore of the hardcore racing games, right?
Hmm.
Like, I think I think Forza Motorsport is just simple enough for people like casual players to play, but can
Yes.
be hardcore like Gran Turismo. But you don't like. I mean, that's what the difficulty settings are for. That's what all the accessibility settings are for. If you want to turn them all off, you can turn them all off, right?
Hmm.
I mean, I'm expecting Forza to be a perfect racing game, just like it always has been, which makes it kind of boring to me at this point. Because don't get me wrong, I love that Forza is an amazing game, but it's been amazing
Yes.
for so long that like a new one just doesn't excite me. You know?
Well, I think it's because Horizon has really been carrying the series than the regular series
Yeah,
itself.
but that's
Then
because
Motorsports
seven. It's been
Motorsports
what,
5.
4 years since seven at this point.
Yeah.
So
And I think because of Horizon, because I like I said, I love her. I think out of all of the Forza games, Horizon 4 is the best. I've played the other ones; they're
mhm.
good, but something about Horizon 4 is really good. And as much as I was looking forward to 5, 5 just there was something missing in 5. Um,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
everything. It oh, go ahead.
oh,
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, I'm not a racing person. I don't really care about racing games in general, right?
Hmm.
But like, what I played at five was fun. It was fine. It was great. But like, I just Forza doesn't excite me. because I'm not. And again, it's because I'm not a racing person.
Yeah, which I can understand, and I think that's why, um, for me, it was just like with Forza Motorsport with the new one coming out. It's just like I want to see what they're going to offer because my the other search is going to get it, and I'm going to get it, and we're going to be talking about it because I'm like he loves racing games, and I love learning about them and everything in a sense. Uh, Man, uh, sorry about that, everybody. I was looking at games for Impact. A Memoir Blue as Dust Falls, Citizen Sleeper, Alien Extinction is Forever. That's what the Foxes. Hindsight, and I was a teenage exo colonist. Um, I really feel like no one is gonna care for games for Impact.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean,
in a sense.
there's nothing really there. Like, I mean, remember when that Dragon Cancer was like? I mean, there's nothing that impactful this year,
Mhm.
which sucks. But also, like, you know, I don't
I
know.
know hindsight I voted for because that's the game that I do want to play. I kind of like how in the Purna
Was
went with that
that's the
game.
game where it uses like you have to have a webcam and it tracks your eyes, and if you blink it switches the moment.
Uh-uh. No. Uh-uh.
Oh, what game is that?
Hindsight is um
Grayson talked about
that's
it
a
on
purple
Boss Rush
game.
podcast. I
Yeah.
forget what it is.
Uh yeah, because I think we may plan that for a Talk to Walk in the future. So we get Grayson on it. I cannot think of it. Uh,
Yeah.
but I know
Anyways,
what you mean.
yeah.
Yeah. Ongoing game, Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Genshin Impact. I feel like it's gonna be between Fortnite and Destiny 2. Uh and it's probably gonna go
Ongoing.
to Fortnite.
No, I actually think it's going to be Destiny this year because uh just the way the community has seemed to rally around it this year as opposed because
Uh-huh.
like the Witch Queen campaign was so good. They've done a lot of great changes in the single player department to that game, and they're really like really just upping the quality on the single player stuff. The PvP stuff,
Mm-hmm.
oh man. Don't, if you want to hear
Keep
us complain
questionable content.
if you want to hear us complain about PvP, you can listen to episode 121 of Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. Because it's been like 2.5 years since they added a new map to multiplayer. They haven't really added any new game modes. Uh, it's been a really it's been very PVE focused is how I will leave it. Um,
Uh
but
Kind of like transitioning or not transitioning. I want to say they're putting more effort into PvE or more focus into PvE than PvP. It
yeah, I
seems.
mean, I know a lot of it has a lot to do with like the pandemic and leaving Activision and
Hmm.
expanding the studio to incorporate new projects and leadership takeover and, and Sony buying them, right? Like, there's a lot of factors that are going into this, but like, man, 2.5 years, you can't add like one multiplayer map. You know what I mean? Like, it just Bungie employs a lot of people, and there's a lot of external help in some areas, right? Like, so
Hmm.
I don't know, but I think the way that the community is rallying around like the single player stuff and the storytelling and the seasonal events and the content and the stories they're telling and the characters, like, if Destiny's gonna win this category one year, it's gonna be this year. You know?
Yeah, and then like I've been saying, this with Destiny 2, um, the game's been. I feel like the game's been strong ever since Destiny 2 came out, and it's just the improvement and what they
Well,
added on and stuff,
that's an outsider's perspective. People didn't like Destiny 2 when it came out.
which is very weird. I enjoyed the story. I would say this.
Okay, let me put it this way: the casual Destiny player loved it. The hardcore Destiny
Hmm.
players did not love it, and they didn't really like it until I would say Forsaken's campaign was great, but the seasonal stuff that came after that, they did not. And then Shadowkeep was kind of a disappointment until Season
Mm.
of Arrivals, which is when all like the story that's happening now started,
Yeah.
moving into Beyond Light. And then Beyond Light's campaign was like interesting, but like really felt like a first step in a new direction.
Hmm.
But the seasonal stuff they churned out that season was so good. Like all the seasons were great. And now the Witch Queen campaign was awesome. And the seasonal stuff they've been churning out has been just as great. Um, and now there's like a lot of conspiracies, like what's happening. They only have 9 seasons left to finish the story. You know,
Mm.
I mean, there's 2 years. We have 2 years and 1+1 season to finish
Yeah.
this.
But I think it's when Destiny 2 came out, we'll get back to the last part of this discussion. I feel like the story was very cohesive. Like you could really understand it because me and you talked about Destiny 1. Because I
Yeah,
felt like Destiny 1 was just a mess of a game when
yeah.
it comes to story.
They,
Like it
I mean,
just
they,
felt like I didn't understand.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the Taken King story for Destiny 1 was very good, easy to follow.
Hmm.
But like they still didn't really understand how to follow up the campaign with good storytelling and good content, right?
Yeah.
And then Rise of Iron was like a filler story, right? Like it was a 5
Hmm.
mission campaign with like granted a great raid and like cool stuff happening, but like again, not really anything after Rise of Iron, except for like some upgrades here and there. But like they just really wanted, they were aiming for a simplified version of Destiny when Destiny 2 came out, with a cohesive campaign that kind of taught
Hmm.
you the mechanics of the game, taught you kind of like what patrols are and what dark lost sectors are. And like the Red War campaign was a very easy campaign to follow for new players, which is their goal. They wanted to
Yeah.
get a lot of new players in, but the problem
And
is they alienated a lot of hardcore players because of how simplified everything was. And then the Leviathan raid
which
wasn't
I
that great. Like it just was not a great raid.
mhm.
So sorry, I didn't mean to keep cutting you off.
Which oh no, you're fine. I think reason like you said, like a casual, like someone like me. Um, I think it was because with Destiny 2, um, it, it, Destiny 2 definitely felt better than Destiny 1. Like in the shooting,
Oh
the game
yeah, the
design.
mechanics were way better, and I mean they
Yes,
continue to get better, right?
right,
So
and definitely now that they got 60 frames per second, which oh goodness, it feels so good playing it at that frame rate. Like Destiny 2 and the improvements that they own throughout the year really just feels solid. I think with Fortnite, yeah, they changed some things. I think it's because of all the cosmetics that came and people still playing it. That's why Fortnite will win. I feel like Destiny 2 should win it. I feel like they did earn because I voted for Destiny 2. I feel like they really earned that spot for best ongoing game, and if it wins, I'm like from what they released when Destiny 2 came out to now, it's definitely been strong. We've uh the gameplay mechanics, the storylines, just the cutscenes alone, like their trailers are some of the best that I've seen in a while
yeah,
from Destiny.
yeah,
Like I'm like, oh, this is top tier animation right here and how they're doing it.
yeah. I mean
Like
the trailers they show off for like they know how to make a gameplay trailer feel cinematic. I know we've said that a couple
mhm.
times on this show, like just in the random times we've talked about Destiny, but like a lot of companies get a lot of crap for like putting out a cinematic trailer, right? And it's literally just like a cutscene, or like they have a CG trailer and that's it, right? Where like Destiny actually incorporates a lot of gameplay into their trailers, but they are
Hmm.
able to move the camera in a way to where it shows off the gameplay in a cinematic fashion, and they always have the music kind of play to the shots of the weapons and the jumping and like the grenade stuff. Like they know how to time everything correctly too, and timing is everything in a cinematic trailer, and they do it better than anybody.
It's it's crazy because, like, to me personally, those are some of the most rewatchable trailers. Like, even if you don't play the game and watch it, you would be like, "Oh, I gotta see this again." Because how did they do this? And why is this like you said, perfect timing and everything? It's just they do such a great job with it and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
It's
uh,
it's that what they can do is just really awesome.
yes. Um, the last one that um they had best adaptation. They had Uncharted, Sonic 2, the Cyberpunk animated series on Netflix. They had this website. Goodness. They had Cuphead, and then they have also one more. I think the Cyberpunk one is gonna win it. Even though I
Hmm.
personally, and I can say I voted for Sonic the Hedgehog too. I really enjoyed that movie. It was pretty good.
I haven't seen
But
the
a lot of
second one, but
people,
I really loved the first one.
yeah, people really enjoyed the Cyberpunk animated series on Netflix. So that's a possibility of winning. Cuphead was good too.
Yeah,
What's
Cuphead
up?
was good, but I think Cyberpunk is gonna win. I think Edge Runners is probably gonna win. Or Arcane. Did Arcane is Arcane on that list?
Yeah,
I think
Arcane League of Legends. I haven't seen that one, but I heard a lot of
I
great things
I
about
heard a
it.
lot of people that don't even like League of Legends like Arcane.
Mhm.
And Bungie just hired a bunch of people from that show because they're planning an animated show.
Really?
Well, that's the rumor. But yeah, they hired a whole bunch of Netflix and they hired the showrunner and the director from that series. So,
Ooh, I
uh
probably need to watch it. I need to watch the Arcane and Cyberpunk
yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
The Uncharted movie, fun popcorn, but I'm just like
Yeah.
kind of forgettable.
No,
Um,
I get it.
so uh, did you look at all of these nominations, Corey?
I skimmed through a lot of them. I don't. The thing is like I don't care about the game awards for the awards. I care about the announcements,
Mhm.
and I'm part of the problem, right? I'm part of the problem. Everybody's like, "Oh, there should be more award-ish," and I'm like, "No, I want to see what's new because I don't care what everybody else liked. I want to see what's
Well,
new."
I think I know for me it is about the nominations. Of course, I want to see the trailers. I do want to see what's going to get announced because I still feel like that year when Ultimate Alliance 3 got announced and Joker came to Smash and stuff, people were like, wow, like just the announcements that they were showing, people were into it. And then when Nintendo didn't bring anything, people were just like, ugh. And I
I mean, Nintendo wants to do
like,
what they do, right? I mean, we already know
yes.
what's coming out from Nintendo next year. I don't think they're going to show
Mhm.
anything unless they bring Tears of the Kingdom, like a trailer or like a gameplay thing or something. I seriously don't think Nintendo's going to bring anything. I don't think Nintendo's going to be there at all, except for maybe an executive or two to accept some awards,
Say
right?
something. Yeah.
Like they're not going to bring any new games because we know everything that's coming in the first half of the year.
I mean, I think the only game that they literally could bring that is going to get the talk of that show is going to be Metro Prime 4. I'm sorry,
Mm,
Advance Wars, Reboot Camp. I feel like you're going to get your show in January. I feel like that is because I don't know when the next Nintendo Direct is, if they're going to do one last for 2022 or partner one. I don't know if they're going to do that or anything,
mm-hmm.
but I feel like if they do a Nintendo Direct in January, somewhat February, springish, um, Reboot Camp is going to be shown in that one.
I mean
Um,
that could be something that they show off is Advance
yeah,
Wars. I mean that could be like their March or April game, right? I mean we talked about how they don't really have anything for those months, and so yeah.
because I think the Callisto Protocol is going to be like heavily
Oh
advertised.
yeah,
They're going to really try to push
that
that.
game's gonna be there for sure because it
Yeah,
comes out what the week after I think.
yeah,
So
and maybe EA gets something with Dead Space. Like that battle is going to be interesting. So Kojima may show something. I feel like that's what
well yeah because
Keighley is going to be
him
going to
and
need for
Keeley
it.
are like best friends.
Uh,
That what's that game? What's the game they who? What's the game they keep teasing? Like the code name is Overdose, but they keep showing all these
mhm,
posters of people. It's that I forget what it says, like "Who am I" or something.
yeah, because it feels like half of the cast of Death Stranding is in this one too, I believe,
Yeah,
or some of the cast members.
some of them. Oh
Uh,
well, the main girl from Death Stranding is in this. So
is in this one. Uh, I wonder if Remedy going to show anything like Alan Wake 2.
I don't know. They
Or
just
something.
I mean they just announced,
Or
uh,
they confirmed Control 2.
which is exciting because Control is an awesome game, and I wish I wouldn't have played. I wish I would have waited for the Xbox Series X version because playing it on Xbox One
Hmm.
was rough, and I really wanted to like that game more than I did. And
I'm
when you play the game at 60 frames a second with ray tracing, it's
yeah.
that game is a phenomenal game, but only on
I
Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5.
yeah, I'm really was trying to see if they had a sale on it. I'm ready for that one. Even if it's like $20 or something, I would get it for that price because I'm like I haven't played the DLC or anything. Uh, but I'm not gonna pay $70, but I will get like a digital version for the Series X.
Yeah.
Uh, if they have it, I mean, if Best Buy or Target selling it for that cheap, I'll pick it up for that version.
Hmm.
Um, so I can play because it's like, that freezing just after the pause. I'm like, oh goodness, no. But I mean, I would want to play that so I could be ready for Alan Wake 2 and then play Alan Wake 2 and see if parts of that gonna be with Control 2. Because now those two games are in both each other's universe.
Yeah. Well,
And also Microsoft,
All of Remedy's games are supposedly in the same universe now, right? I mean,
mhm,
except for Max Payne, I guess, because it's not owned by them. But I mean, they're even talking about trying to get Quantum Break back from Microsoft.
Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
I
that's
mean, Quantum Break is basically Control Zero, right? I mean, that game. You
yes.
look at Control and you're like, oh, we both said it when Control came out, right? Like,
Hmm.
this is like Quantum Break refined and good. Not that
And
Quantum Break was bad, but like Control makes Quantum Break look like a mediocre video game.
shoot, Control makes most of Remedy games look mediocre.
Yeah, because Control
Because
is awesome. Control is very good.
I mean, there are some annoying bits to it, but it was just like when the game is running and it's real smooth, it's fun.
Yeah,
Like
and the
it,
fact
it
that that
really is good.
and the fact that that game's budget was so small and they got that much out
Uh-huh.
of that, right? I mean, that game's budget was
Yeah.
only what 30 million something euro, which is literally like a quarter of the price of a moderate AAA video game, right?
Right.
I mean, you look at Gotham Knights, that game was $100 million, right? And you look at Control, and it was only 30 million. Like, oh my gosh, that game, man.
I think Control 2 is going to be a big factor. Sony though,
I think Sony has to bring something, right? Sony has to bring something.
with with Control 2, I feel like Sony's going to snag that exclusive for State of Play.
I see. I
But
don't
Sony,
because I think because I don't I and they might, but I don't think it's going to be exclusive. I think
oh no, no. I'm
If
just
we're
saying.
if
Oh,
we're
the exclusive to show it off. Is
oh
what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think Microsoft needs a win though, man. Microsoft needs a big
Oh
win.
yeah.
They like we were talking the other day on Boss Rush podcast about how like not that I'm disappointed in my overall purchase of the Series X because I think it's an amazing console and an amazing experience, but like I'm kind of disappointed that I bought that console first because there's some great games on PlayStation. Although like I love the user experience on the Xbox. I love the backwards compatibility stuff on Xbox. I
Hmm.
think third party games run better on Xbox, but like there's nothing to play. Like Halo is it. Halo is it. You know, like in terms of
Yeah.
first party games for the games that I like to play, Halo is it. And guess what? I played Halo and I'm done with Halo. So like, you know, and I mean I play Destiny on it because I love Destiny, but like, you know, I'm just kind of like
It's
I feel I feel frustrated as an Xbox fan because the last truly great game I feel on Xbox was Gears of War 5 of the games that I like.
mhm.
Right? I mean, I get Psychonauts 2 was great for people. Forza's great for people,
Yeah.
but like in terms of the games that I like and the IP that Xbox owns and the like the games that I like to play, Gears 5 was the last truly great game on Xbox.
It's the Gears 5 is probably one of their best games.
It's
Not that
Microsoft's
I,
best game. I'm going out on a limb and saying that Gears
mm,
5 and since Xbox since Xbox One launched, we'll say Gears 5 is their best game. Period. In my opinion.
I agree. Yes. I was about to say Horizon 4 is probably second for me, with Gears 5 being one, because Gears 5 is great story. Game looks gorgeous.
Especially on Series X now. Have you played on Series
Oh,
X?
I have that first level. I was just like, this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
On how gorgeous this
Mm-hmm.
game looks on Series X.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like, and I took it off so I could make space for some other games. But I need to put it on because I kind of want to see
I want
like
to.
some of the later levels
I still need.
with it.
I still need to. I still need to play the Hive Busters DLC. I still haven't finished it, which is a shame because I was like really excited for it, but I got distracted by something else.
I don't have Game Pass, so I'm good.
Man,
uh,
but I mean, I ended. I mean, the thing is too is like Game Pass. I'm not utilizing Game Pass either because like every time I find a game that I like on Game Pass,
uh-huh.
I'll just if it's an indie, I'll probably buy it on Switch. If it's an
Which,
RPG, I'll buy it on Switch, and if it's a Microsoft first party game that I really enjoy, I'll just end up buying it, right? Like Gears. Like I bought Gears, you know,
I bought Gears 5,
Gears Tactics, like I
which I
man,
need to install and play.
man, Gears Tactics, man. I've been trying to play that. I tried to play that game like 3 separate times and I loved every minute that I played and then I stopped playing and then I just didn't care to go back. You know.
Okay.
It's just
Gears Pop we won't talk about at all.
no. Like
Picked up.
Gears Tactics is a game that, like, on paper, is a game that I should love and should have played should have
Mhm.
played through like 3 times by now. But like, I don't know, man. There's something about it that I can't. I play it and I like it, and then I don't want to go back after I stop playing.
It's it's very weird playing Gears Tactics and then playing Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yeah,
And Fire Emblem Three Houses
I think
gets it.
I think it's just because I've played so much Gears in my life, like throughout
Hmm.
like since the first one, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
people don't know I used to have a team and we used to play competitively. Like I've played so much Gears in my life that like playing a turn-based tactics game is just kind of in that universe. It just really throws me off and makes me not just want. I just want to go play Gears 5. You know, like I don't want to do the tactics part of it. I just want to play it.
Which is weird because Gears 2 I played on the 360 and did not like it because of the controller. But
Yeah, Gears 2 is so good.
when the ultimate version came out, I played it on I had it on I played it on Xbox One, but I did it on the S, the white one. Um, I played it on there, and that was it was the Mass Effect kind of thing for me. That it was just like I played all three games back to back. Shout out to Anthony Cantu because he helped me with three playing that. We had a discussion about that. Optional, and I felt, and I was just like, okay, now I get the Gear series. And then when I played four, yeah, it had its problems, but I enjoyed it. And I still feel like Gears 5 is just the strongest because it's just like out of all of these years, you guys got it right.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, I'm not really worried about the dialogue and stuff like there because we're not really for it. But I'm like, this story is very cohesive. This game is challenging and it looks beautiful. I'm like, I never felt bored with it. And I think when me and you and Jesse was talking about having some open world parts to it, that really broke the game up in a good way, in
Yeah.
a sense,
Yeah.
you know. So, but yeah, like I agree with you, Corey. I think Sony and Microsoft need something. They need a win at the Game Awards
They need a
when it
win,
comes to
man.
the
And
trailer.
like, remember, we thought Halo was gonna be it, and like, for
Hmm.
the most part, Halo at launch was awesome, you know. But like, man, they just fumbled in the way they wanted to handle that game. You know, it's just, oh my gosh, like, why? You know,
Yeah,
and that seems to be an overall problem right now, where like multiplayer games are just really struggling to get content out. Besides, unless you're Fortnite, you know, like
yeah.
people are just like these games are just really struggling to get competitive maps out, and it's kind of hard to watch.
True. So
You know, we were talking on Tower Casuals the other day. We were talking about how like Destiny hasn't had a map in 2.5 years. Halo hasn't had any maps in the last year. I mean, what they've had two, I think.
hmm
Uh, and like the only reason why Destiny doesn't get more hate is because they've been doing so well in the single player part, and then you look at something like Halo, who just after that, what the first 2 or 3 months, like that game just literally just died like in the water. It was just
it I think it was because of the lot of plans uh that was set for it didn't uh pan out, and it kind of felt like every time they gave not an excuse, but they were trying to explain, it kept fumbling, and so it really felt like it kept missing the mark in the devs or whoever was speaking. They just wasn't able to get it through. And I think it got to a point where got into their mind and like made a decision that the game was a mess and they could just move on from it. No matter what the team at 343 Studios were doing and stuff. And we know, um, like it's sad that it came out this way because everybody was really hyped for it. It was one of Microsoft's biggest anticipated games, and it just missed the mark when it came out.
yeah.
Uh, you know, uh, but I think I'm gonna go back to Halo Infinite. At least finish the campaign because I think I'm halfway through the game. I just need to finish the campaign.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I would just like to play it with somebody. You know, like I enjoyed when I played single player, but Halo's all for me. Like co-op multiplayer is like the best part of Halo, and
I think it's out now, right?
it
The co-op.
is. It is. I just you know just kind of
Mm.
want somebody to play with.
Play with me.
No,
Why not?
because you're always working, and then you play at like 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm
No,
Not asleep.
I'm not. Like I told you, Corey, I've been working in the morning. Then I get home,
I
and
know.
you know,
I'm just messing with you. I just I'm trying to really focus on like the Nintendo stuff right now. I just don't,
mm,
I want to get. I'm trying to prepare for Game of the Year now, and really want
that's.
to make the effort to try to do that right.
Should I need to go through the list of pretty much all the stuff that came out in 22? What I did miss and stuff. I think I missed a lot of indies compared to first and third. Um, and everybody just let you know, I'm counting near Automata. It came out this year for Switch.
Yeah,
I'm counting it uh as for a Game of the Year nomination
it's a
because I'm like,
it's a wonderful game. That game is so
it
good.
really is. So, um, but like I said, all of that will be for later. Corey, I think we're gonna wrap it up for right here. Um,
Okay.
I think we had a really good discussion. Um, because there's not really anything else to talk about the game awards with the nominations. Pretty much all of it, a lot of the categories about the same. No one's gonna be caring about the content creator and the esports stuff. Like half of that people gonna be getting snacks or podcasting or whatever. Like no one's gonna be caring about that.
Right.
Uh, they like you said, people are there for the trailers. Some who gonna win game of the year, and I don't know about the musical performance,
Mm,
but
yeah. Don't. Yeah.
you know.
Meh.
I will say, I do want to hear if they do that not melody, music medley for Game of the Year and everything. I wanna know what they
What? What?
choose.
Are you there?
Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Hello.
Hi. You froze again.
Oh,
You've
uh,
frozen like
I,
12 times on this recording, by the way.
oh, uh, I come on Thursday, please, so I can go get my computer Friday.
Nah.
Um, oh, which I gotta talk to you after the show. You'll be quite pleased. What I gotta say. Uh, but yeah, I wanted to see their medley for the Game Awards for Game of the Year. How they do it and what song they're gonna pick for Xenoblade Chronicles 3. That one's gonna be a really good one. Uh, but with that, everybody, that's gonna be it for Nintendo Expansion Pass. I've been your host, Eddie V. You guys can find me on Twitter at that Retro Code and on Instagram. Check me out on Discord and other places here at Boss Rush Media. Corey, where can we find you?
You can find me at I am Corey HC on Twitter and Instagram and Mastodon, in case Twitter doesn't exist by the end of the week. You can also join the Discord. We're really trying to figure out some sort of uh, contingency plan if Twitter goes down. Of course, there's always Facebook and the Facebook group. You can always
Mhm.
find us there. Uh, Mastodon is something that I signed up for work because that's something that we're looking into, and co-host is another thing coming out. So there's a lot of new social media networks coming as well, like Blue Sky, which is literally Jack Dorsey's new social media platform. For those who don't know, Jack Dorsey is one of the co-founders of Twitter and
Mhm.
took that money and founded a new social media platform. So that's probably going to be new Twitter. Um, so yeah, join the Discord, follow us where you can. I know it's going to be kind of odd for a while if Twitter goes down, but yeah.
Yes. And also, everybody, if you didn't know, but you followed the news, happy birthday to the Wii U. It's been 10 years. Me and Corey literally was just talking about that. Nintendo Life did the top 50 games.
Great list, by the way.
Interesting.
I've been looking at it while we've been talking.
Uh, and me and Corey cover Wii U, but everybody, just wait till we get to ranking Nintendo in the console of the Wii U. I'm excited for that discussion.
Yeah,
'Cause that one is gonna be good.
I'm very happy to see that Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag made this list.
Nice.
Just saying. Just saying. This Wii U top 50 list. It's there's some questionable things on here, but overall I think it's a pretty good list. If you somehow didn't buy a Wii U and you were looking for games to play, this list is pretty good. Although some of them you can't buy because the eShop is gone. But
True.
a lot
NES
of these
remix.
a lot of these games are available on Switch now. And the other games you're just gonna have to track down.
Yes. With that, everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend. Have a great Thanksgiving. We're going to be off for a bit, but you guys will still get some content.
Yeah, if you're listening on Patreon, there will be no content after this episode for the week of Thanksgiving. If you're not listening on Patreon, well, see you next week, I guess.
Yeah. With that, everybody, we'll see you next time on Nintendo Expansion Pass. Bye, everybody.